And now the fourth part of the Amazing Spider-Man review. So, after uh, Spider-Man's first encounter with the Lizard, uh, he turns into his alter ego Peter Parker, and unlike Rainy Man, decides to go to the police and report this. However, it does not go so well because Captain Stacy does not believe that there is a uh, 8 foot tall lizard man roaming the streets of New York and whatnot. And uh, Bandit Incorporated talked about this in a comment on Sam's channel's review of the Amazing Spider-Man, which I did not exactly care for his review. But I did feel Bandit Incorporated did make a solid point that it was kind of stupid uh, that there were like 200 people who had witnessed the lizard, and Captain Stacy is still in disbelief of that the lizard exists, and is not even making at least attempt to check this thing out until after Peter uh, mentions Dr. Connors might be the lizard. How, however, I will say that this was probably just more uh, a good idea, but just wasn't executed well. They were probably just going with that. This is more that Captain Stacy's perception of reality is a bit more grounded in of the fact of a giant lizard man, which is kind of out there. And it probably would have worked better if only like a few people had saw the lizard, and that would probably still allow the skepticism to remain. But let's continue, shall we? So Spider-Man still suspects Connors is the lizard, and unsuccessfully confronts the creature in the sewers, trying to get some visual proof for Captain Stacy. Uh, and Because he's out of his element, Spider-Man is forced to separate from the lizard, and uh, he'd probably have to try again later. Uh, but back at the sewers, the lizard learns Spider-Man's real identity via his name on an abandoned camera, and follows Peter to the school where they fight. In response, the police start a manhunt for both Spider-Man and the lizard. Uh, the police corner Spider-Man, and Captain Stacy discovers that he really is Peter. Uh, the lizard plans to make all humans lizard-like by releasing a chemical cloud from Oscorp Tower to eliminate the weaknesses he believes plague humanity. And I felt that was actually pretty interesting because what Connors was about was creating a world without weakness by healing all disabled people and making them just as fit as everybody else. Then, when he gets this lizard serum and it heals his arm, but not only that does that, but actually makes him stronger, faster, he feels that he has become a superior being, and his goal is being twisted by this lizard serum into making him think that why be human at all? Humans are pathetic creatures. We should be more than human, and hence why he's doing this. And it's also very respectful to what the Lizard's plan has been in other versions, such as the '90s Spider-Man animated series, where he planned to do the exact same thing. And so far, this makes me believe to be the Lizard's, as of when this movie first came out, was the most developed Spider-Man character to ever been done on film. So anyway, let's see, let's see, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, uh, classic. Alright, see. Alright, here we go. Spidey manages to convince Captain Stacy to let him go because he needs to save the people, especially Gwen, who decided to remain at Oscorp to create the cure for the lizard serum. Unfortunately, Spidey-Man has been shot in the leg, and uh, with the man with the man uh, and with many people panicking and uh, panicking and running around the streets. It's not a very good picture for the webhead, because the lizard is moments away from releasing his bioweapon, and Spidey is injured, despite having a healing factor that would take a while, and while crawling hurts his leg and also makes his web swinging a bit clumsy. And so to remedy this, the man from the bridge who had that son that Spider-Man saved is watching this on TV, and he gets his coworkers to help him set up the crane so Spider-Man can have a better way to swing to Oscorp, a straight way there. Many people had a problem with the issue because they thought it was corny and didn't make any sense. And I say that's complete nonsense. It's not corny because the cranes are lining up and can happen when during construction, especially in a place in New York where there are plenty of skyscrapers, especially during renovation. And during an evacuation, the construction people would have most likely been the last people to have left. And, and it makes sense because the man was repaying Spider-Man for saving his son's life. And I gotta admit, I find this rather hypocritical that you would find something like this cheesy and yet not Raimi Man 2, where they had Raimi Man be carried like Jesus and have 30 plus people know his secret identity and promise not to tell because they admire him too much. Anyway, Gwen is at Oscorp trying to make the antidote. The lizard spots her when she tries to hide from him in the closet. She tries, and when he finds her, she tries fending him off using some pliers to make a flamethrower. Finally, a woman in a Spider-Man movie doesn't become a damsel in distress and does something. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Mark Webb. Oh, man. Spider-Man really needed that. However, the lizard gets the device and uh, heads onto the top of the rooftop to administer the serum using the Ganali device that will spread it into the clouds, and the lizard serum will rain down on the people, mutating them. Uh, anyway, fortunately, with the aid of Captain Stacy, Spider-Man is able to stop the lizard's plan and turn him back into a good man, Dr. Connors. Regrettably, during the struggle, Captain Stacy was mortally wounded by the lizard, and with his dying breath, he asked Peter not to get Gwen Stacy involved, so no future supervillains would harm her. Yeah. The next day, Gwen confronts Peter about him not showing up at her father's wedding. I mean, not wedding, funeral. And she deduces he made Peter a promise not to see her anymore, so Peter could protect her from harm. This Gwen is so much better than Raimi's Mary Sue. And while we're on the subject, I personally think the whole stay away from the girl just to protect her from the supervillains, it's kind of stupid, really. Think about it. Supervillains do not. Yes, it would put them in danger to be in a relationship, but they're going to be in danger in terms of supervillains no matter what happens. We've seen it in the Raimi Man trilogy where even bystanders who were being held hostage uh, uh, because they wanted to get back at Raimi Man. It had nothing to do with a personal relationship, and even if it did, some of them didn't even know that they had a personal relationship with Raimi Man. So that pretty much points out that regardless of your relationship, chances are you will be put in danger. Uh, but at least if you're in the relationship with the hero, they can have a better chance of protecting you. So anyway, uh, after some talk with Aunt May, telling he's a good kid and deserves to be with the girl, Peter reconsiders with reconsiders his promise and with Gwen showing joy at the news. Oh, I also forgot to mention that Flash Thompson early in the movie offered his sympathy to Peter when Uncle Ben died, and is now acting nicer to him. This was pretty nice character development because it showed that Flash Thompson was not just some generic bully, and actually could be humanized. He uh, he has also become a fan of Spider-Man, especially since he believes it helps him get the girls. And the movie ends off with Spider-Man swinging to the city as his protector. Then we cut to a post-credit scene where Dr. Connors is in a prison cell speaking with the man in the shadows, who, spoiler alert, we find out in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is known as the Gentleman, who creates this Sinister Six. And the gentleman asks if Peter knows the truth about his father, and Connor replies no, and demands Peter be left alone before the man disappears. I also like to note that there was a deleted scene where Connor's family, after he took the lizard serum, there was a meeting between them, and he was saying that it was that life was going to be better with it. I mean, better. I don't know why that scene was omitted because that kind of expanded more on Dr. Connor's character. I'm not saying it was essential because it's all about the character, not the attachments to him. And but I do think it would have helped us better sympathize with the fact that this formula became a drug addiction to Connors and what the effects was having on his family. Before The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, this was by far the best Spider-Man movie I feel we have gotten so far. The actors are great, and the portrayal of the characters was done properly. The story follows the source material and presents it in a non-campy way, unlike the Raimi Man trilogy. I honestly don't see any reason for people to hate this movie. I'm not going to pretend it's perfect. There are a few problems, like how come nobody found out Peter was Spider-Man when he was stuck to the roof on the train? Uh, how come nobody thought it was kind of odd that he was able to throw a football at the goal and kind of bent it? But all around, it's nothing that breaks the movie. I strongly hope people will realize this and see the Amazing Spider-Man is in a better light. So I'm glad that I finally got to share my thoughts on all the Spider-Man movies so far. Uh, through the ups and downs, this I say it was pretty nice to give my to give my opinion about this, explain why I feel this way about these movies, and hopefully I'll be able to continue to do so when we see the future movies from the Amazing Spider-Man series.